Everybody loves a good before and after photo, but what about the middle? The part that no one claps for. When you're in the trenches, changing your body, but also you're facing your identity, your beliefs, your trauma, and most of the time it's your most authentic truth. That's the part that this episode is for. If you've ever felt like you're doing all the right things but still feel stuck, if your body is changing but your mindset hasn't caught up, if you've fallen off track and felt like a failure, then you're in the exact place that transformation actually happens. Today, we're not sugarcoating it. We're going to take you through a raw, real journey to healing that's not just physical, but also emotional. Because at the end of the day, the best things happen when we step outside of our comfort zones and step into our most purpose-driven lives. So because of that, the glow up isn't just going to be about your waistline. It's going to be about your identity. And that is where the real work begins. What's up, y'all? And welcome back to the Unfiltered Trainer podcast. I'm your host, Gina, aka Gina Marie Fit, author of The Badass Blueprint, founder of Sweating Together for a Cause, and resident honest and authentic personal trainer who's here to help you understand what real transformation actually looks like and how it should feel. Transformation is not this highlight reel. It's day in, day out conversation with yourself, and it's sometimes a difficult one. The common struggles I see often with clients, and I've experienced myself, are that you lose weight, but you still feel unworthy. You hit your goal, but you don't feel fulfilled, or you change physically, but feel lost emotionally. There was a point in my own journey where I was leaner than ever. My social media following was growing because of it, but looking in the mirror still felt like a war zone. I thought once that I would get there, that I would hit that number on the scale, that I would feel better and it would solve all of my problems. But the truth is that there was no external change that could fix what I hadn't healed internally. The truth is that your mindset, it has to catch up with your physical progress. Sometimes you end up grieving the person you used to be, even if they were hurting. You have to rebuild your identity, not just your routines. So one way you can do this is a really incredible reflection prompt. Write down, pen and paper, old school, you know how I like to be, and ask yourself, who are you becoming and what are you afraid to leave behind? Sit with that. You might be surprised what happens and what comes out on that piece of paper. Now, let's talk about the shame spiral. That moment when you miss a workout, you overeat, you might end up binge eating because of it, and instantly you feel like all of the progress you've attained is over. A lot of the common struggles I see with clients in this phase is this all or nothing mentality. I missed one day and now I've ruined everything. Y'all, if this was not me to a T, I don't know what is. When I'm all in, it's game on, macros done, workouts done, cardio done, hydration, rest, recover. But somewhere along the lines in my wonderful 30s, I realized that even when I wasn't physically able of working out, your body still needs fuel. It still needs nourishment. And this all or nothing mentality can actually be quite dangerous because shame turns into sabotage. And that belief that you lack willpower could be your demise. So try to reframe this moment and think of it like this. Falling off isn't a sign that you failed. It's a sign that something wasn't aligned. Maybe your plan was too rigid. Maybe you're actually burned out and doing too much. And maybe, just maybe, what you actually need is rest. Every time that I have quote unquote falling off, and if you know me, you know I cannot stand that term, it actually was a mirror. A moment that asked me to look deeper, to look at my patterns, my expectations, my needs, and it helped me to realize that that's not failure, that's actually necessary feedback. Something you can do to change your narrative and change the way you see this entire process is to ask yourself in these moments, what did I learn? Not what did I do wrong? When you come back with compassion, not punishment, you yield better progress and long-term success in this transformation process. Now, something that can be difficult is navigating emotional weight on a physical journey. This one is heavy, literally and emotionally, because we talk a lot about physical weight, but what about the emotional weight? The common struggles that clients have dealt with, that I've helped them with, and something I've personally struggled with and still struggle with to this exact day is body dysmorphia even after major progress. I have been underweight, I have been overweight, I have been healthy with a six-pack, and I have been healthier, meaning balanced and not restrictive. When you have body dysmorphia, and you are in the thick of your ability where you're trying to change your mindset, but you're not quite there yet, you could look the best you've ever been the healthiest you've ever been, but this distorts the way you see yourself. And you are always the person hyping every single other person up. But body dysmorphia changes everything. And I dealt with this in my 20s, I deal with it in my 30s. And it's one of those things that when your weight is synonymous with your worth, it's a dangerous place to be. And being in the personal training space, it is really difficult when you can't be on your A game to not assess and assume that people are thinking certain thoughts about you. And that might not necessarily always be true. When I think about it the most, the person speaking the worst about me has always been myself. And then as a result of that, I've used fitness to numb pain rather than heal it. And I see this happen a lot with people, and they wear it almost like a badge of honor. We talked about this in the fitness addiction episode of what people are doing to expedite results when they're just trying to ignore what's really going on in their lives. And because of that, they seek external validation while they're still in self-loathing. One raw insight, and it's going to be difficult for some people to hear this, is that I've seen women shrink their bodies, myself included, and still hate what they see. And when I had to think about why I was like this, it's not about the mirror at all, because no size was ever small enough. It was always about the mindset. And it came down to how we speak to ourselves when no one else is around. It's kind of sad when you think about it that those of us who struggle with our mental health tend to be the most supportive, most positive, most uplifting people. We don't ever have a bad thing to say about anyone. And anytime somebody we love is struggling, we are always the first person to be there for them. But self-love versus toxic positivity is real. And this body positivity movement, although it's great when it's rooted in healing, can be very toxic when people are just telling other people to love themselves without giving them the tools and the resources to actually make that possible. Because of that, it's performative. It's pressure in disguise. You can't hate yourself in a body you love. You can't shame yourself into believing in your self-worth. And you can't compare yourself into being the most confident, authentic, unapologetic version. So because of that, there are tools to stay consistent without chasing perfection. Because if you've been listening to this podcast, you know your girl has strived for perfection her entire life. And it has cost her time and time again. Consistency is key and it's king, but not the way hustle culture told you. It's not about being 100%. It's not about being the most extreme you can be. It's showing up as you are, who you are in this moment. Common struggles I've seen with clients in this phase is that perfectionism leads to burnout. I cannot tell you how many clients I have worked with when given the proper, balance, good for you macros, because way too many people are under eating, given a proper progressive program that is built on progressive overload, time under tension, and then still, even though you're paying for a service, people will do more thinking that that will get them to their goals faster, and that if they are perfect following their plan, that a result should somehow be immediate. But realistically, believing in motivation it's fading, it's fleeting. Believing in yourself and putting in the work and having the identity that's no longer rooted in your past, that is where progress will come from. There's a couple really practical tools that I find beneficial is what people have called the 60 rule. If you can't give 100%, you give 60. That still builds momentum. I tell my clients all the time with their nutrition, it's an 80-20. Like, you cannot be 100% not enjoying yourself, not having human moments where you need to go to a birthday dinner or have a piece of cake, or because you get sick, you can't go and do your meal prep. Sometimes what you give has to be enough. And if that's 60% or 70% and you can't be 100%, that's still going to move the needle one step further to make progress to get to your eventual results. Another practical tool is to shift identity first. Ask yourself, what would a strong, healed version of me choose today? And embrace all that you can come up with. Remember that micro is what matters. Celebrating consistency, not perfection, is the game changer in all of this. In order to do that, you really have to embrace and celebrate every single win. Some of my biggest shifts came on the days that I almost didn't show up, but did anyway. Not because I felt like it, but because I was committed to something deeper than a number on a scale. I was becoming a version of myself who didn't quit on herself, and that became the game changer for which a real transformation was born. So how do we become this version of ourselves? We have to heal the relationship with our body. Let's talk about the part that no one wants to admit. Most people don't hate their body because of how it looks. They hate it because of what they think it says about them. Common struggles I've seen clients deal with is that associating body size with their self-worth, internalizing shame from childhood or culture or past partners, and viewing their body as an object, not a partner in healing. In order to reshape and reframe this, you have to understand that your body isn't the enemy. It's the home that you've survived in. It's the vessel that carried you through trauma, grief, breakups, breakdowns, job loss, failures, setback, and everything in between. How would your journey change if your body wasn't the thing that needed fixed, but the thing that we finally honored? I think more often than not, when I have associated myself with feeling worthy enough, it sadly was always when I was in my fittest appearance, because I used to think that to be a good trainer, you had to have a six-pack, you had to have the best nutrition and your meal prep game down, when in reality, practical healing starts with practicing neutrality before positivity. Thanking your body out loud for something real. Thank you for getting me through today. That is the simplest statement, but when you think about it and everything you go through in a matter of just 24 hours, let alone 7 days into 365, it's insane what we go through in this world. And more often than not, we're focused on all of the things that we didn't check off our to-do list, when in reality, we need to pause that inner critic that we hear and start asking ourselves, whose voice is that really? When you are shamed because of something you ate or didn't eat, or a workout you missed, or when you overdid it with workouts because you were trying to punish yourself, maybe it's time to ask yourself, who are you answering to in those moments? It's not your inner voice and it's not your inner critic. So who and what weight are you carrying with you? Whose opinions, what past experiences have you endured? That is where that is coming from. And that is why redefining progress without shrinking ourselves is absolutely necessary. What if your greatest transformation had nothing to do with losing inches and everything to do with you gaining peace? How incredible could that feel? The common struggles I've seen with clients in this phase is that the obsession over metrics, the scale, the incessant measuring, the obsession over their macros. I've had so many clients until they've healed and become healthy, when it came to the holidays, not eat all day just to save their calories for a holiday meal. Starving ourselves is not the answer. You should be eating a regular day's worth of calories, focusing on your macros, and then still enjoying your holiday meal. One day does not deter your progress, just like one salad isn't going to give you abs. Feeling like growth doesn't count unless you can show it is dangerous. And believing that the smallest version of you is better is what leads most people into these circumstances and situations that increases their risk for injury and prevents them from ever attaining the best version of themselves. The raw truth is that progress isn't measured in pounds. It's measured in power and presence, and it's measured in how you show up when no one else is watching. When you're ready to reframe this thought process, instead of asking, did I lose weight this week? I have 3 things I want you to ask yourself. I want you to ask yourself, did I keep my word to myself? Did I speak to myself with respect and love? And did I choose alignment over the approval of others? If I've learned anything in this lifetime, and specifically in my time in Tampa, I have strived desperately to get the opinions and approval of others who cannot be bothered to care about me on a regular basis. So what is the point? Choose you, choose yourself, and choose doing the things that align with your highest self, regardless if there's 50 people next to you or 0. Because progress isn't about shrinking, it's about expanding into who you were always meant to be. So maybe your before and after doesn't need to live in a photo. Maybe it lives in the way you carry yourself and how you treat your body on a hard day, in the way you finally speak to yourself like someone you love. That's the kind of transformation that never fades, and that's the one I want you to keep chasing. If this episode moved you into something or tapped into something you've been struggling with, feel free to DM me. Tell me where you are in your journey, what you're going through, and if you're feeling called, share this episode with somebody who needs to hear that they're not failing, they're just in the process of healing. You don't have to do this alone. This podcast can be your safe space for truth, not trends. And if you're ready for more, subscribe, give me a 5-star rating, and I'm starting to build out the Impact Society community, which is just a free group on Facebook that I want to launch this fall. And I've just been slowly building content so that it's purpose-driven over time. If you're ready to take this deeper, then grab my book, The Badass Blueprint. It's linked in the show notes, and it's packed with very amazing, if I do say so myself, journaling prompts and tangible tools and topics that will help you process through the parts of your journey that no one's clapping for, because your most powerful transformation won't be the one they see, it'll be the one that you finally feel. All right, y'all, stay honest, stay real, stay authentic, and I will see you in the next episode.